jobs. Now, some people ask me also, just so you know, I also have an investment firm. Those clients are not investing in there. This is my own money that's going in here, and I'm not going to ask you for any money at all. I'm not asking the taxpayers for any money. It's something that can be accomplished without that. But I don't have a lot of it. Oh well, go ahead. I've been a stockbroker for 29 years, married for 30. I was raised in McMinnville. I graduated from McMinnville High School, went to Lewis and Clark. I've got a passion for land use planning. Before I was a broker, I worked for LCDC, Clackamas County, Yamhill County as a land use planner, so I understand the process. Our consultant, Mike Rupp, that's here, I've known for 35 years, I think. I did Salem's first historic district as a volunteer. That's the Gady Hill Bushes Pasture Park District. What's interesting about that is the people supported it, but the Landmarks Commission was against it. Again, the staff, kind of what we end up here. I've also did historic preservations districts in Portland. And then I love horses. Horses take out the stress of everyday life. It's a great exercise, cleans out your mind. And I want to share that passion. Go ahead. Just to identify people, Richard Brainer, could you stand up real quick? Or where you already standing? The tall guy in the back. He's the botanist. And again, when I hired him, I didn't hire him. I didn't say, Dick, this is my opinion. Dick, I wanted your opinion. I wanted because I very much care about the environment and do the things that are correct. Linda Royer, you raise your hand. Where are you? Linda Royer's our landscape architect, writes equine. She's done. You did Hunter Creek, you did Wild Turkey, and you did the Nike campus some. Michael Rupp is our planner. I've known him for 35 years. He knows me by a different name. We worked together at LCDC. You know, at LCDC we had meetings. We always did show up, even with bomb threats, right, Mike? And then my family, Deborah, right there, and Drew and Quinn. And then also our architect is here from Group McKenzie, which I think you've worked on have you worked with the tribe?
We've done work at Spirit Mountain
and the Nike campus.
And we also did the water park.
He did the water park too. Wasn't it your idea to put the plane on, the plane over?
That's right.
Wow.
And he was kidding. And he didn't know that Del Smith would actually do it. Which, by the way, I started delivering Del Smiths. I worked for the Oregonian in the morning. I think I delivered his paper when I was 7 or 8 years old in the morning. Again, here's the NRCS representatives. Actually, Tom Finnegan, the one that's in Polk County, has been very helpful. I've never met the people in Portland or in Washington, D.C. I think they don't know what they're doing because we get conflicting rules. But we will be presenting to the different soil and water conservation districts in Polk County and Yamhill County over the next month to get their support. Okay, you guys know where you're at. You're here. By the way, we did change the name of Sawtell Road to Old Wallace Bridge Road to confuse everybody. But this stretch of road does have a new name change. We're just having a hard time figuring out how to put up the signs. Again, that's the property. I think it's pretty definable here. I came here a little over a year ago. The property was foreclosed on. It was originally a seed farm. Go ahead. You guys see the property. You can just go on from there. Then why? It's a passion for me. There is a big demand. If you read our reports, and you can go on wallacebridge.com, there's a big demand for an equestrian venue, and Linda can talk about some of that. There's no facilities here in Oregon to do it. But to give you an idea, and some of you have heard this before, I watched the Devon Horse Show back east, and the first horse out, this is what we want to bring here. First horse out was worth $8 million. People don't use that to get a return on it. Joe, did that horse go to the Olympics? BZ rode it. Several $million, and they were from age 18 to 55, so there is hope for me, okay? And then one of the riders, last name was Springsteen. And I told my boys, that's Bruce Springsteen's daughter. And they said, you know what they said? Who's Bruce Springsteen? You did too. Now, I tried that on the FFA group from Willamina, and they didn't know either. It's just really sad. But those are the type of people, unique visitors, that will come here. If you provide a site, they will come here. Oregon has excellent riding. And this will do, you guys are aware of Bandon Dunes? That's international in scope. This will be the equestrian version of that, but without the housing, and probably more visitors. Why? You'll see in my report, I look for 10 years. And the more I do, this is the most unique place in the state of Oregon to do this. I mean, when I came up, was it 5-6 months ago, and I figured out I couldn't do the site without the conservation zone, it was devastating to me because this is a passion. Because I can't do it and I can't meet Oregon's land use laws if I don't move the easement. Plus I noticed that the easement was inappropriate the way it is. We got 2 major highways. Why is that important? They come in semis. And as you guys know, there's already semis on here. In fact, I sleep here 5 nights a week, and if I don't hear those semis, I can't go to sleep. It has enough flat land for the competition that's hard to find. And it's the other thing for cross-country events, I don't know of any other place in Oregon that has access to lands that can be ridden across. There are no Christmas trees, there's no crops, there's no vineyards. This land is non-high value farmland. You can look at the wheat crop out here. It's not very good, okay? It's not good for vineyards, but I needed to be on this side of the Coast Range because what I've noticed that the weather here at Wallace Bridge, it's usually 5 to 10 degrees cooler than farther in. Thank God we're not there. You get a breeze. It's warmer in the winter. We're also in the lee of the hills, which means we don't get as much rain, which is important for equine. But I didn't, even though equine, almost everything we're doing, with the exception of the lodging component, is allowed in EFU zone. I didn't want to compete with high-value farmland. I didn't want to be in row. I didn't want to be in class 1 through 4. I didn't want to interfere with vineyards. I can't think of a more ideal place than this. And you can, okay, stop on that part. Just put that up. Linda, do you want to talk about what we're proposing, the vision? Am I going too fast? Is this okay?
I'm going to move this up, and I know it's a little difficult to see, but that's why we gave you some handouts, but I'll just kind of walk you through, you know, what our vision is right now for Wallace Bridge in terms of what we want to develop and will be usable in the long run. You can see here, this is Highway 18 and Highway 22, and we're currently right here. One of the things we want to keep is the character and the nature of these structures, which is really wonderful and very expressive of Oregon. And so this is being developed as a small little kind of commons or village where people will be able to come into a farm stand, and Dick right now is working on the development of a distillery, which will be kind of unique for this area. We've got lots of wineries, but a distillery will be something really fun and different.
Distillery is approved by Polk County, by the way. We have approval for the distillery.
And one of the things we're doing is this portion of the land over here that's across Highway 22 we're going to be using for crops that will then be used in the distillery and sold at the farm stand, because that's very difficult for us to access for the horse park. So if you think of this as you know, the kind of the commons area, it'll be a place that the public can come off the highway, and the kids can interact with animals, and it'll be kind of like a model farm. We may get FFA involved in doing some displays and raising some livestock here, and you know, introducing people that are passing through to a little bit more hands-on of what a farm is about. But the majority of the site is essentially what we call the horse park. And this is developed from our vision, having experienced horse parks all over the U.S. and around the world, that international and national venues are held at, as well as, knowing very well what is available here in Oregon, and also being part of the equine community here in Oregon for many, many years. For example, a couple of the clubs that I'm members of, I'm on the show committee, and so we look for venues to put on our shows, and it's very, very limiting, and as a result, our people that want to compete on an international scale have to go, clear across the country to qualify in many cases. Now, Rich Fellers, our local Olympian, he had to go to Spruce Meadows in Calgary, Canada, and down to Southern California, and those are kind of the West Coast areas. There's a lot that happens on the East Coast. Kentucky Horse Park is kind of the most prominent one in the U.S. and is very large. And we are not the scale of Kentucky Horse Park, but there's practically every other place in the U.S. this would be competitive with for national and international events. I'll give you an example. The World Cup in dressage and in jumping was held in Las Vegas, of all places. Not really known for horse activities, but they were able to fly the horses in. They used the Thomas and Mack Arena and had all of the horses that you would be seeing today in the Olympics, all the horses of that caliber. They compete every 4 years, 2 years opposite of the Olympics, and they were all flown into Las Vegas. So being close to an international airport and an area that you can transport the horses from an airport, easily was very important. So in general, the main entry to the horse park will be off Old Wallace Bridge Road. One of the things that's very important to horse people is that the entire property be fenced and secured. So should a horse get loose, and they do on horse grounds, they're never going to get out onto the highway. So all of the entrances are gated or double gated to ensure that that never happens. You'll see as you look out there today, we've got big wide open fields. And one of the first things that we're going to do is plant a lot of trees. That's really important to create the ambiance, the shade, to make it very lush and garden-like of what now is a wide open and pretty dry field. We're going to have all of the perimeter landscape planted with trees, and especially along the highway to develop noise barriers as much as possible, either through berming or through trees or whatever means we can.
Gotta keep those elk from going across the road.
Yeah, that too. So when you come in here, the first structure is a gatehouse that will be the manager's residence and the facilities office. When you come in for a horse show, there'll be a check-in here that guides you to assign you to where your stalls are. It gives you a map and helps you find where to go for parking. We've got a large area for event stabling, and then a large area for event parking.
Now that can hold, 1,400 stable if we did it?
We could hold up to 1,400 horses. Realistically, what we need to do is to balance the number of horses with the parking requirements for the rigs that they come in and the spectators that come and all the amenities that we want to have on the site. So that's kind of the thing that we're going to be developing in the next year or so as we get the accurate topo and start refining this vision, is to see, and this will be something that will be in flux. Oftentimes showgrounds start out with some permanent stabling and some portable stabling, and that gives you the flexibility to expand and contract. But the main thing is we want to be able to accommodate the parking for the maximum size that we have. And we have parking. One of the things that we really try to do in a place like this is to make it safe and to separate horses from spectators and golf carts from horses and traffic, and we're incorporating all of those ideas into all of the circulation. It's very important that the large rigs be able to get around easily. So we've got a large area for stabling. We've got permanent restrooms and showers. We have lunging rings there. We have the ability to do parking. We have 2 covered large indoor arenas with a clubhouse spectator area between them and support area that would have a restaurant and restrooms and things like that. We've right now got 3 large outdoor arenas. These are typical hunter size arenas that will also serve for dressage or for other events. And we have the ability to add more arenas as the need arises by taking out pasture areas. We also have 2 full regulation size polo fields that also can double for competition arenas.
And I want someone to play with, okay?
So we can have a polo match going on, and we've got another one for warm-up. So, and the polo field has a covered area for spectators. This area right here is the main clubhouse that has restaurants, support facilities, covered spectator areas for viewing both into the Grand Prix jump field and onto the polo field as well. Additional spectator seating, areas for vendors, which are very important for horse show organizers to be able to sell space to vendors, area for officials. We've got a Grand Prix warm-up field here. And those are the main kind of competition areas. Now, in addition to that, we have trails that go all over this property as well as adjoining properties so that we can do 3-day eventing where horses gallop about 3.5 miles and do 20 to 26 different types of obstacles over the cross country. And then we also can have competitive driving. These are all international types of equine events. There's also reining is an international equine event, as is the Paralympics for handicapped riders. They also compete internationally.
By the way, on the site, I want everything to be, the architects know I want everything to be handicap accessible. And I don't want to be like when I went to New York 25 years ago and they gave me the handicap room, I was pissed. Because it didn't look as nice. All these rooms and what they're supposed to be is, I don't want you to know they're handicap accessible. I want the whole grounds to have that ability. I'm not doing it because the law says it, that's just the right thing to do.
So when there's an event happening, we have gates to close off traffic so that there can be easy pedestrian flow and flow of horses between the different venues. Off Highway 22...
Plus security is important.
Yes, exactly. Off Highway 22, we have a service entrance. And the primary idea is that we keep all of the storage, utility, maintenance areas over here. We also have overflow parking and parking for RVs. A lot of the people come with living quarter trailers, and so they'll have a place on site for having their parking over here. And this is a gated entry as well. Over here, we'll collect all the manure to do composting with.
We hope to make money on the manure, right?
Yes, absolutely. So that's where
Wallace
we'll,
Bridge do.
collect all of the trash, the recycling, things like that. So there aren't trucks that are going in through the site here that service the lodge. This is the primary lodge entry, where you are permitted to make a left-hand turn legally. And this is...
None of you did that wrong, did you?
I was going to.
Well, we often think about it. This is Steel Bridge Road, which exists right now and comes down along the property here. This area down here, where this is the primary stream corridor, this is an unnamed stream. And this is the area where we're looking at transferring land that is currently in the easement off of a portion here down into the area that actually does have wetlands and is wetland soils and vegetation that's existing and not in the easement currently. Right now the easement covers an area like this. We're looking at expanding it here and up here so that it really is appropriate to wetland areas and all of those environments. And that allows us to utilize this area up here where they've been trying to develop unsuccessfully the land in the easement, and it's mostly been taken over by weeds and native invaders.
This traffic plan also, because when we tried to do something, my architects gave me a major access off Highway 22, and I said, no way under God's green earth. Because I know how important traffic flow is on Highway 22. I'm amazed at the amount of traffic that there is. It's a wonderful highway. Just don't speed on it or you get a ticket. I got one the second day I came out here in her car. And this allows us much better circulation and keeps Highway 22 doing what it's supposed to do, because I have no desire to congest Highway 22. In fact, we can even stagger events so that we don't get there when there is more heavier traffic. But the circulation that she's come up with is much, much better than I'm forced if the easement is still where it is.